If you've ever tossed a coin into a jar and thought nothing of it, this channel will make you think twice. From million-dollar mistakes to hidden history, we uncover the coins that were never meant to exist. So if you're into rare finds, government secrets, and collecting wealth 1 cent at a time, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. The next coin we cover could be sitting in your pocket right now. You know that penny jar sitting on your dresser? The one with maybe, 12 bucks worth of loose change? Well, in 2019, someone sold a single penny for $1.7 million. Not a gold coin, not some ancient Roman treasure. A penny, 1 cent. The kind you probably stepped over in a parking lot last week without even thinking about it. Everyone knows about rare coins being valuable, but almost nobody knows about the secret mistake that created the most expensive accident in American history. In 1933, the US government made a decision that should have made a certain gold coin completely worthless. They ordered every single one of these coins to be melted down, not sold, not stored, not preserved for history, destroyed. It was supposed to be a clean sweep, a complete erasure. So before you dismiss that handful of change as worthless, what if I told you that recognizing just one of these coins could literally change your life? Now, take a look at the top 10 rarest coins that collectors will pay a fortune for. Number 10, the 1870 and 1876 Carson City double eagles, each worth up to $1.6 million, and they tell the story of America's strategic frontier mint. Carson City, Nevada was strategically chosen by Congress as a mint location in 1870, specifically because of its proximity to the Comstock Lode silver discoveries. The government needed a facility to process the massive amounts of precious metals being extracted from Nevada mines, and Carson City was the logical choice. The Carson City Mint operated under challenging frontier conditions, dust storms, equipment breakdowns, and constant shortages of skilled workers made consistent production difficult. Quality control varied, but many Carson City coins were well struck despite the challenging environment. The 1870 Double C Double Eagle was among the first gold coins struck at the new facility, with 3,789 pieces minted. Most were spent immediately by miners and merchants who needed the gold content, not knowing they were handling pieces of numismatic history. The 1876 CC had a much larger mintage of 138,441, but high-grade survivors are extraordinarily rare. These coins circulated heavily in Nevada's mining economy, getting worn down in saloons, mining camps, and frontier businesses. What makes these coins legendary isn't just their rarity, it's their connection to the American frontier. Nevada had been a state since 1864, but by 1870 it was still developing its infrastructure and economy around mining wealth. Authentication requires understanding the unique characteristics of Carson City minting. The equipment was often improvised, the dies wore out quickly, and the striking pressure was inconsistent. Genuine CC double eagles show these frontier-era imperfections, while modern counterfeits are often too perfect. The historical record shows that Carson City ceased coin production in 1893, then continued operating as an assay office until 1933. During its 23-year minting period, it produced some of the most coveted coins in American history. For collectors today, owning a Carson City double eagle means owning a piece of the American frontier when the country was expanding westward, when precious metals literally shaped regional economies, and when a coin mint could operate under conditions that would challenge modern facilities. These coins represent the intersection of American expansion, Western development, and the practical need to turn raw gold into usable currency in remote locations. At number 9, the 1933 St. Gaudens Double Eagle. This coin is so controversial that the US government has literally gone to court to prevent people from owning it. Here's what happened. In 1933, President Franklin Roosevelt made gold ownership illegal for American citizens. Executive Order 6102 required everyone to turn in their gold coins, and the mint was ordered to melt down nearly 500,000 newly minted double eagles. They were supposed to disappear from history completely, but 20 of them escaped the furnace. Most of these survivors were tracked down and confiscated by the Secret Service over the decades. Today, only one is legally owned by a private collector, just one. and in 2021, it sold for $18.9 million, making it the most expensive coin ever sold at auction. The story of how this particular coin survived is fascinating and legally complex. It belonged to Egypt's King Farouk, who had diplomatic immunity when he acquired it. After his collection was dispersed, the coin disappeared into the black market for decades. When it finally surfaced again, the legal battles were intense. What makes this coin so valuable isn't just its rarity, it's the fact that owning one is essentially illegal. The US government maintains that all 1933 double eagles, except for the one they've authorized, are stolen property. This creates a unique situation in numismatics, where the coin's legal status actually increases its mystique and value. Now, here's where collectors need to be careful about the historical record. Some sources claim that more than 20 coins escaped the mint, while others suggest the number was smaller. The exact count remains disputed because, frankly, people weren't exactly advertising their illegal gold ownership in 1933. The design itself is considered one of the most beautiful in American coinage history. Augustus St. Gaudens created the imagery before his death, showing Lady Liberty striding forward with a torch and olive branch backed by a soaring eagle. It was meant to represent American strength and optimism, but that beauty became cursed by circumstance. The 1933 double eagle represents a moment when American monetary policy shifted dramatically, when gold was removed from circulation, when the relationship between citizens and their government's currency changed forever. For modern collectors, this coin represents the ultimate prize and the ultimate risk. Even if you could afford the $18.9 million price tag, you'd need government approval to own it legally. It's a reminder that in the coin world, rarity and legal ownership don't always go hand in hand. The forbidden nature of this coin has made it legendary among collectors, a piece of American history that most people will never be allowed to own. Coming in at number 8, the 1794 flowing hair silver dollar sold for over $10 million in 2013, and experts now estimate its value has climbed to around $12 million. This isn't just any old coin. This is the very first silver dollar officially minted by the United States of America. When the Philadelphia Mint struck these coins in late 1794, they were creating the foundation of American currency as we know it. The timing was crucial. The young United States needed its own monetary system, something that would establish credibility on the world stage. European powers were watching, waiting to see if this upstart nation could create stable currency. The flowing hair dollar was America's answer. Only about 1,750 of these coins were minted in 1794, and today, fewer than 150 survive. The specimen that sold for $10 million is believed to be among the very first struck, possibly even the first silver dollar to roll off the presses. Robert Scott designed the coin with Lady Liberty facing right, her hair flowing freely, surrounded by stars representing the original states. The reverse shows an eagle perched on a rock, a design that would evolve into the more familiar heraldic eagle on later coins. But here's where numismatic scholars disagree. Some experts argue that certain 1794 specimens show evidence of being struck from dies that were also used for 1795 coins, leading to debates about whether some 1794 coins were actually struck later. The metallurgical analysis and die studies continue, but most authorities accept the authenticity of the major surviving specimens. What makes this coin worth $12 million isn't just its age or rarity, it's what it represents. This dollar coin established the decimal system that we still use today. Before this, American colonists dealt with a confusing mix of foreign currencies: Spanish reals, British pounds, French livres. The flowing hair dollar brought order to financial chaos. The condition of the record-breaking specimen is remarkable. Most surviving 1794 dollars show heavy wear, evidence that they circulated extensively before people realized their historical significance. But this particular coin grades SP66, meaning it's essentially in mint condition after more than 2 centuries. For collectors, owning a 1794 flowing hair dollar means owning a piece of America's birth as a financial power. It's tangible proof that the United States could mint currency equal to any European nation, and it worked. The dollar system that started with this coin eventually became the world's reserve currency. Today, finding a decent 1794 flowing hair dollar requires serious money and serious patience. Even lower-grade examples sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars, making this one of the most expensive ways to own early American history. Lucky number 7 brings us to one of the most elusive coins in American numismatics, the 1822 half-eagle. Only 3 are known to exist, and one of them sold for $8.4 million in 2021. The Philadelphia Mint records show that 17,796 half-eagles were struck in 1822. But here's the mystery. Almost all of them vanished. Whether they were melted down, shipped overseas, or lost to time, nobody knows for certain. What we do know is that by the 20th century, collectors realized they had a serious problem on their hands. The 1822 half-eagle had become a ghost coin. Everyone knew it existed because of mint records, but finding one was nearly impossible. For decades, serious collectors searched estate sales, old bank vaults, anywhere in 1822 might be hiding. Most came up empty. Then, in the 1980s, the Smithsonian revealed they had 2 specimens in their collection. These weren't available for private ownership. They were museum pieces. That left collectors with a sobering reality. If you wanted to own an 1822 half-eagle, you were competing for essentially one coin. The specimen that reached $8.4 million at auction is graded MS65 by Professional Coin Grading Service, meaning it's in exceptional condition for a coin that's over 200 years old. The preservation is remarkable, showing crisp details on both the obverse portrait of Liberty and the reverse eagle design. Here's where the historical record gets interesting. Some numismatic researchers have questioned whether all the mint records from 1822 are accurate. The early US Mint wasn't always precise with their documentation, and there's some debate about whether the reported mintage figures include coins that were actually struck in 1823 but dated 1822. What's not debatable is the coin's impact on the rare coin market. The 1822 half-eagle is considered one of the king of American coins, alongside rarities like the 1933 double eagle and the 1913 Liberty Head nickel. It's part of an exclusive club of coins that can command 8-figure prices. The design itself follows the capped bust pattern used for half-eagles from 1813 to 1834. Liberty faces left, wearing a soft cap, surrounded by 13 stars. The reverse shows the heraldic eagle with shield, olive branch, and arrows, representing the new nation's desire for peace, but readiness for war. Number 6 on our list, the 1804 silver dollar Class 1 original, valued at $6.7 million. But here's the twist that makes this coin fascinating. It wasn't actually minted in 1804. The US Mint stopped producing silver dollars in 1803, but they kept using 1804 dated dies into early 1804 to finish up silver that was already allocated. However, no silver dollars were officially recorded as being minted with the 1804 date during that year. The mint had moved on to other priorities. Fast forward to 1834. The State Department needed impressive gifts for diplomatic missions to Asia, specifically for the King of Siam and the Sultan of Muscat. They wanted to present complete sets of American coins, including a silver dollar dated 1804. There was just one problem. They didn't have any. So the mint did something unprecedented. They created new 1804 silver dollars, 30 years after the date on the coin. These became known as Class 1 originals, and only 15 were ever made. 8 of those were given as diplomatic gifts, and 7 remained in the United States. The irony is perfect. A coin dated 1804, but actually minted in 1834, to represent American coinage from 1804, which didn't actually include any silver dollars with that date. Its bureaucratic confusion turned into numismatic legend. The Class 1 designation is crucial for collectors to understand. Years later, the Mint created additional 1804 dollars for collectors, called Class 2 and Class 3 restrikes. These are valuable, but nowhere near the $6.7 million range of the original diplomatic pieces. Authenticating genuine Class I specimens requires serious expertise. The dies used in 1834 had specific characteristics, certain wear patterns and microscopic details that experts can identify. But even among professionals, there's ongoing debate about the exact number of Class I coins that survive today. One specimen, known as the Dexter Dunham example, set auction records when it sold for over $7 million in recent years. The condition was exceptional, showing minimal wear despite being nearly 2 centuries old. For modern collectors, owning a Class I 1804 dollar means owning a piece of American diplomatic history. These coins traveled to royal courts, represented the United States on the world stage, and survived political upheavals across multiple continents. Halfway through our countdown, we're jumping back nearly 700 years to medieval England, the 1343rd Edward III Floren, also known as the Double Leopard, valued at approximately $6.8 million, and only 3 examples are known to exist worldwide. This isn't just old, it's ancient by coin collecting standards. Minted during the reign of Edward III, this gold coin represents one of England's earliest attempts at creating a stable gold currency to compete with European powers like Florence, whose florins dominated international trade. The coin gets its double leopard nickname from the 2 leopards that appear on the obverse, flanking the king's crowned bust. These weren't just decorative choices, they were political statements. The leopards represented English royal power, and their placement on the coin announced Edward's intention to challenge established European monetary systems. But here's what makes this coin historically fascinating. It failed spectacularly. The 1343 florin was overvalued compared to silver, meaning people hoarded the gold coins and spent the silver ones instead. Basic economics. But medieval monetary policy hadn't quite figured that out yet. The florin experiment lasted less than a year before being abandoned. That failure, ironically, is exactly why these coins are worth millions today. Most were recalled and melted down, leaving virtually no survivors. The 3 known examples likely escaped destruction by accident, forgotten in private hoards, or lost in the chaos of medieval England. Authentication of medieval coins presents unique challenges for numismatists. The minting techniques of 1343 were primitive compared to modern standards, meaning genuine coins show irregularities that might look suspicious to collectors accustomed to machine-struck currency. Experts rely on metallurgical analysis, die studies, and comparison with documented museum specimens. The historical record from Edward III's reign is incomplete, and some scholars debate the exact mintage figures for the 1343 florin. One of the 3 known specimens sold at auction in 2006 for what was then a record price, demonstrating the international appetite for medieval rarities. The coin had been in a private collection for decades, its existence unknown to most numismatists until it surfaced at sale. The design reflects the artistic style of 14th century England, with Gothic lettering and symbolic imagery that would have been immediately recognizable to medieval audiences. The reverse shows a floriated cross, a religious symbol that emphasized the divine right of kings, common in medieval European coinage. For collectors, medieval coins like the Edward III florin represent the ultimate intersection of history, art, and rarity. These pieces survived plagues, wars, political revolutions, and the general chaos of 7 centuries. They're tangible connections to a world that existed before printing presses, before gunpowder, before the discovery of the Americas. 4th place, the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, 5 coins, $5 million each, and a mystery that's never been fully solved. The Liberty Head design was officially discontinued in 1912, replaced by the Buffalo nickel in 1913. So how did 5 Liberty Head nickels get minted with 1913 dates? Nobody knows for certain, and that's exactly what makes them legendary. The most likely explanation involves Samuel Brown, a mint employee who somehow acquired all 5 coins. In 1920, 7 years after they were supposedly made, Brown placed an advertisement in a coin publication offering to buy 1913 Liberty Head nickels for $500 each. When nobody responded, he revealed that he owned all 5. This raised immediate suspicions. How did Brown know these coins existed if he didn't create them himself? The timing suggests he might have struck them after hours, using dies that should have been destroyed. But mint records from that era are incomplete, and Brown never admitted to making them. The 5 coins became known by their later owners: the Eliasberg specimen, the McDermott coin, the Walton example, the Norweb piece, and the Olsen nickel. Each has its own story of discovery, authentication, and record-breaking sales. Authentication has been contentious. Some early experts questioned whether these were genuine mint products or skilled counterfeits. Modern analysis using electron microscopy and dye studies has confirmed their authenticity, but debates continue about exactly when and how they were made. The Eliasberg specimen holds the current record, selling for over $5 million in 2018. The condition is remarkable for a coin that's over a century old, grading PR66 and showing the mirror-like surfaces typical of proof coins. What's fascinating is how these 5 coins created an entire mythology in American numismatics. Collectors have spent decades searching for a 6th example, though none has ever been found. The idea that only 5 exist has become part of their legend. The design itself is unremarkable. Liberty facing left with stars around her, the word liberty in her headband, and a Roman numeral 5 on the reverse. It's the circumstances of their creation that make them extraordinary. For collectors, the 1913 Liberty head nickel represents the ultimate American coin mystery. These 5 pieces have generated more speculation, more research, and more passionate collecting than almost any other US coin. They're proof that sometimes the story behind a coin matters more than the coin itself. Third rarest in our list, the 1787 Brasher De Loon. This isn't just rare, it's the first gold coin made in the United States, and it recently sold for over $9.36 million. Ephraim Brasher was a New York goldsmith and silversmith working in the 1780s, when the new United States had no official gold coinage. The Articles of Confederation gave individual states the right to mint coins, and New York was considering authorizing Brasher to create gold pieces. Brasher took matters into his own hands. He created a small number of gold doubloons, roughly equivalent to a Spanish piece of 8, and stamped them with his distinctive EB hallmark. These weren't official government coins. They were private issues backed by Brasher's reputation as a craftsman. Only 7 authentic Brasher doubloons are known to exist, and they fall into different varieties based on where Brasher placed his hallmark. The most valuable variety has the EB punch on the eagle's breast, rather than on the wing or other locations. The design shows a sun rising over a mountain, with the motto Nova Eberaca Columbia Excelsior, Latin for New York and America ever upward. The reverse features an eagle with a shield, holding an olive branch and arrows. It's distinctly American imagery, created when the country was still defining its visual identity. Authentication of Brasher doubloons requires extraordinary expertise. The hand-struck nature of these coins means each one has unique characteristics, and the gold content and workmanship must match 18th century techniques. Several forgeries have surfaced over the years, some quite sophisticated. The historical significance goes beyond rarity. Brasher's doubloons represent American entrepreneurship in its earliest form, a craftsman filling a market need when the federal government couldn't or wouldn't act. They're tangible proof that commerce continued even when official institutions were struggling. The specimen that sold for $9.36 million in 2021 had been in a private collection for decades. Its condition is exceptional, showing clear details on both the sunrise design and the eagle reverse. The sale set a new record for early American gold coins. What makes these coins particularly fascinating to numismatists is their connection to Alexander Hamilton. Brasher was Hamilton's neighbor in New York, and some historians suggest Hamilton may have been aware of or even consulted on Brasher's coinage plans. For collectors, the Brasher doubloon represents the birth of American coinage, created by private enterprise before government got involved. It's a reminder that the most valuable coins often come from times of transition, when old systems are breaking down and new ones haven't yet formed. Second in our list, the Edward VIII pattern gold sovereign from 1936, worth over $2.3 million, and it exists because of the most famous royal abdication in British history. Edward VIII became king in January 1936 after his father George V died. The Royal Mint immediately began preparing new coins featuring the new monarch, including gold sovereigns and other denominations, but Edward's reign lasted just 326 days. His relationship with American divorcee Wallis Simpson created a constitutional crisis. The Church of England, the British government, and the Commonwealth nations all opposed the marriage. In December 1936, Edward chose love over the crown, abdicating to marry Simpson. This left the Royal Mint with a problem. They had already struck pattern coins, test pieces showing Edward's portrait for the new coinage. These patterns were never released for circulation, and most were supposed to be melted down after the abdication, but some survived. The Edward VIII sovereigns that exist today are patterns, experimental coins that show what British currency would have looked like if Edward had remained king. Only a handful are known to collectors, making them extraordinarily rare. The design breaks with royal tradition in a subtle but significant way. Previous monarchs alternated the direction they faced on coins, but Edward insisted on facing left, the same direction as his father. This violated centuries of protocol, and numismatists see it as evidence of Edward's disregard for royal conventions. Authentication of Edward VIII patterns requires specialized knowledge of royal mint procedures from the 1930s. The striking quality, metal composition, and die characteristics must match documented mint standards. Several modern reproductions exist, making expert verification essential. The historical context makes these coins particularly poignant. They represent a Britain that never existed, a timeline where Edward remained king and married Simpson. For collectors of British coins, they're tangible reminders of one of the 20th century's most dramatic royal stories. The specimen that reached $2.3 million at auction was in exceptional condition, showing sharp details on both Edward's portrait and the reverse St. George and dragon design. The rarity combined with the romantic historical narrative drives values far beyond typical gold coin prices. What's fascinating is how Edward's personal choices created numismatic history. His abdication transformed ordinary mint patterns into some of the most sought-after coins in British collecting, proving that sometimes the most valuable pieces are the ones that represent paths not taken. And here we are, number 1 on our countdown, the 1849 Double Eagle trial piece, valued at $20 million, and it represents the most expensive coin that collectors can actually buy. This is where American numismatic history reaches its absolute peak. In 1849, with California gold flooding the economy, the US Mint needed to test whether a $20 gold coin could work. They created experimental trial pieces, prototypes to see if the design and denomination made sense. These weren't meant for circulation. They weren't meant to survive. Most trial pieces were supposed to be melted down after testing, destroyed, forgotten. But somehow, 2 specimens escaped destruction. Here's what makes this coin worth $20 million. The Smithsonian Institution holds 1 specimen, which will never be sold. That leaves exactly 1 in private hands, making it possibly the rarest collectible US coin available to collectors anywhere in the world. This isn't just rarity for rarity's sake. This trial piece launched the entire Double Eagle series, coins that would dominate American gold coinage for decades. It's the prototype that proved America could create currency worthy of its newfound mineral wealth. The privately held specimen was insured for $20 million in 2005, a valuation that exceeds even the record-breaking 1933 St. Gaudens that sold for $18.9 million in 2021. Pattern coin status doesn't diminish its value, it enhances it, because this represents the birth of America's most important gold coin series. Authentication debates have surrounded this coin for years. Some experts question whether certain features match 1849 mint records, while others point to metallurgical analysis supporting its authenticity. What's undisputed is its historical significance as the first attempt at a $20 denomination. The design itself would become iconic, liberty facing left with stars around her, the reverse showing a heraldic eagle. But this particular specimen carries the weight of being first, of being the test that proved American minting capability could handle the wealth of a growing nation. For collectors, This represents the ultimate acquisition. You're not just buying a coin, you're buying the prototype for American financial power. The first attempt at creating currency that could handle California gold rush wealth. The mathematics are stark. Only one available to private collectors, insured for $20 million, representing a turning point in American monetary history. This is what peak numismatic collecting looks like, where rarity, historical significance, and sheer impossibility of replacement create values that transcend normal market forces. So there you have it, 10 coins worth more than most people's houses. But here's what's fascinating. Every single one exists because something went wrong. The 1849 Double Eagle survived when it should have been destroyed. The 1933 St. Goddens escaped the melting pot. The 1913 Liberty Head nickel probably shouldn't exist at all. The 1804 silver dollar was made 30 years late. Error, accident, rule breaking. These create the world's most valuable coins. We're not just collecting metal, we're collecting stories. The next time you're digging through change or browsing an estate sale, remember this: that weird-looking coin, that piece with the wrong date, might be exactly what collectors are searching for. Rarity isn't just about age, it's about surviving everything history can throw at you. Wars, economic collapses, government recalls, and still being here to tell the story. So keep your eyes open. Somewhere out there, the next $1 million coin is waiting to be discovered, and maybe it's closer than you think. So, which coin shocked you the most? The $1 million penny, or the gold coin that was never supposed to exist? Let us know in the comments. We read every single one. And hey, if you've ever found something weird in your change, drop a photo or story below. You might just be holding history. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with a fellow treasure hunter. You never know who's got a fortune sitting in their pocket.